ear to his lat, and I use my whole torso now, not my arm. I use my whole torso to open up the space under his neck. Now from here, I punch through, and I finish with a wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Good, okay, so Grant's on his side here, right? We're getting to our 3/4 Nelson position, my hands through, palm up, palm towards, all this stuff, right? So typically, what happens when you lock up the Darce, let's turn just a little bit more. If my arm is only coming out a little bit here, this is what you call a short arm Darce. And typically how people teach to finish it is they collapse the elbows and then they lift the elbow here, right? They lift this elbow. But if you guys look, with your chin there, Grant, if you guys look here, you can see there's all this space here when my arm is only sticking out a little bit. So what we want to do is we want to get rid of all that space and create more like a rear naked choke type pressure where there's contact of my bicep and my forearm all along Grant's neck. So I'm covering both of his arteries rather than just on one side and just crunching it to the max, right? So how do we do that? So Grant's on his side now. Turn this way a little bit. Okay. So Grant's on his side. Let's say he even has the underhook. That's fine. From here, I have my 3/4 Nelson, palm away, palm towards, and I clasp my elbows tightly here. Now, the first thing I have to do is I have to clear this underhook. If Grant has that underhook, it's very hard for me to finish the Darce. So what I'm going to do is I project my weight a little bit forwards and get up on my toes, and from here, I turn my hips slightly and I sprawl that leg away. What I like to do is bring my knee close to Grant's hip here so he's unable to recover his guard. So how I like to control the position first is I like to have my chest going forwards so I'm preventing his arm from opening, because if Grant's arm opens this way, it's bad for my choke, right? So for example, if Grant's on his back and he has his arm up like this is bad for me when I try to finish an arm triangle. What I want when I finish the arm triangle is his arm here, right? That's how I finish a good arm triangle. So the Darce is just the same. I want his arm here. I don't want his arm here. That's bad for my choke. So, good. Okay, so I'm controlling with my chest. Now, what I'm going to look to do, first, I'm going to cup, and I'm going to take this double cup position. So what the double cup position does is, first of all, I have a lot of control over Grant's face, head, shoulder, and upper arm. Now, if Grant shrugs his shoulders, you guys will see here, it's impossible for me to punch my arm through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my ear to his lat, and I use my whole torso now, not my arm. I use my whole torso to open up the space under his neck. Now from here, I punch through, and I finish with a wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Now if we change the angle here, I'll walk toward this. Now guys, when my arm is so deep like this, and Grant lifts his chin, you guys can see here, all that space that we were looking at before is gone. And what I want to feel is I want to feel my bicep on his neck. Good, so again, one more time, come back. So we're here like this. 1, 2, 3. I wiggle the arm deep. Now I lock it in place, and I'm going to change from a cup to a push. Now that I'm in this push position, where I lock his neck twice, I want to shuffle and get my chest over top of his head. Nice. So now my chest locks his arm in place, super, super tight. Now from here, I want to close my elbow so that he can't open up his neck. If I just do this, Grant can open up his neck again. So I push, close, and now I punch and I slide super tight. I try to reach for my tricep, and then with this hand, I walk, 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 and I get under my own chin. Now I have 3 different positions for finishing the Darce. Most of the time, I can just project my chest slightly forward and apply just a little bit of pressure. And I'm gonna get that tap because it's so, so, so tight. If I need a little bit of extra horsepower, for whatever reason, I can lift, sit to my inside hip, try to catch the leg or anything, and then from here, I project my chest forward, elbows together, and I breathe in. And it's very, very tight. Now, still, if I need a little bit more horsepower, DEFCON 4 tightness for this choke, this guy's super hard, his veins are buried deep in his neck. I'm gonna project my forehead across, my knee touches my elbow, let's turn. So I project my forehead across, my knee touches my elbow and I slide. Then from here, I lock into place, project my weight forward, and squeeze my elbows together. So, that's how you can get a deep, deep darce. So your darces will not turn into neck cranks anymore. In my experience, lifting the ear like that is the only way you can really get that kind of consistent choke. You can lift the ear in a different way. You can cup this way or cup that way or scoop or whatever. But the one I prefer, at least from this particular position, is that double cup method, where I use both my hands and then I punch. Short arm method, where I post my hand on the mat, I grab onto my own hand like handlebars, and now both of my hands pull back, and again, I crunch his chin to his